Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be taking a detailed look into what iPhone you should be picking up in 2018. We're going to be taking into consideration some of the flaws and faults that some of these iPhones had when they were released, as well as upcoming updates and future support that these iPhones will get. So with heaps of different iPhones on the market, the oldest iPhone I would possibly recommend to anyone in 2018 is the iPhone 5 on iOS 10. Now the iPhone 5 was released back in 2012 and shipped originally with iOS 6, but even on iOS 10 this thing is very fast and is still very usable in 2018. Now it obviously hasn't got iOS 11 or won't be getting any further updates like iOS 12, so eventually it will be coming out of date very quickly. It is still a great iPhone, even in today's standards. Obviously, if you're picking one of these up used, you might end up having to get a battery replacement or something along those lines. It was released in 16, 32, 64 gigs of storage, has an Apple A6 processor, and a gig of RAM. Now, the Slate Edition didn't wear so well. It tended to scratch very easily, but the Silver Edition was a lot better in terms of scratches and marks and things like that. Now in the early days, the iPhone 5 had problems with the power button and batteries, but those were both a replacement program from Apple, so you were eligible to get a replacement if yours was faulty. But obviously, given that they're now old, most people would have done that replacement by now and will probably be needing another battery replacement given its age. The 5C is also exactly the same phone, just in a plastic shell. This didn't have any of the problems that the iPhone 5 did, and therefore is one of the best iPhones Apple ever released, although it is made of plastic. And as these are very cheap to pick up, it is a very affordable iPhone for people on a tight budget. Next up, we have the iPhone 5S. Now this iPhone is capable of running the latest version of iOS, which is iOS 11, and it is also the oldest iPhone supported with iOS 12. So any device on iOS 11 will be supported with iOS 12 when it comes out later this year in September. So if you are looking for an iPhone that runs the latest version of iOS, but you also want a really tight budget and you want to spend as little money as possible on a phone that can run the next version of iOS, it's going to be coming out. The iPhone 5S is the phone to go with. Next up is the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus was released in 2015 and comes in obviously the 4.7 and 5.5 inch model. It has an Apple A8 processor with a gig of RAM and comes in 16, 32, 64 and 128 gigabytes of storage. Now the iPhone 6 was probably Apple's worst ever iPhone. It was one of the most top-selling iPhones out there, but it has a lot of faults, including baseband issues, touch disease, and also bending. So if you are looking to pick up a used iPhone, I would avoid the iPhone 6 given these flaws. Now, not all iPhones were affected, of course, but quite a number of them are, and these issues are still continuing on today. But just as a size comparison, you can see there the iPhone 6S compared to the 6 Plus. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone SE, which was released alongside the iPhone 6S back in 2016. This thing can run iOS 12, which will be coming out later this year. The device itself is similar design as the iPhone 5S and 5. It comes in 16, 32, 64, and 128 gigabytes. It has an Apple A9 processor with 2 gigs of RAM and comes with a 4-inch LCD, which is the same size as the iPhone 5, 5C, and 5S. If you are picking up any of these iPhones that I'm going to be listing today, I would try and avoid the 16GB option, as with the newer updates, pretty much you're getting a lot less space out of that 16 gigs, so I would recommend at least 32. The iPhone SE has no known flaws at this moment and is one of the best iPhones Apple has released in the last couple of years. Up from that is the iPhone 6S. The 6S was released, like I said, alongside the SE and is the bigger sized model than the iPhone SE. It's also more expensive, but did have some flaws which we'll get into. It was released back in 2015 in 16, 32, 64 and 128 gigabytes of storage. It's an Apple A9 processor and 2 gigs of RAM, and was released in the all-new rose gold color. Now the only problem with the iPhone 6S was the battery life. It does have a battery replacement program, so if you have an iPhone 6S at the moment and its battery is absolutely rubbish, go ahead and check out Apple's replacement program website and it may be eligible for a free battery replacement. I have a 6S 16 gig that lasts 41 seconds on 100% charge. Other than those battery issues, the 6S is a really good, powerful iPhone. Lastly, we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 7. Now, this has been my daily driving iPhone since 2017, since the Red Edition came out. Now, this was released back in late 2016 in 32, 128, and 256 gigs of storage, has an Apple A10 Fusion processor, and 2 gigs of RAM. Now, the only issue with the iPhone 7 that has now just arrived is the loop disease. I'm going to have a separate video on that coming up in the upcoming weeks because I just purchased another iPhone 7 with this loop disease. Now, it starts off as a microphone issue and speaker issue, and then eventually it gets your device stuck in a boot loop. So I'm going to be taking it to an Apple store and seeing what they say about the device. I picked it up quite cheap, and there will be an upcoming video on that, like I said, so stay tuned for that. Now, with that overview look at every iPhone from the iPhone 5 and above, and just taking a look at them and seeing their flaws and things like that, I'm now going to give my opinion on what I think is the best iPhone. Now, if you're on a really tight budget and don't care about iOS updates, you just simply call and text people, maybe use a light app here and there, go for the iPhone 5 because you're not really going to need software updates. But if you're looking to have something that will update to the latest version of iOS when it comes out, iOS 12, but you don't want to be spending a lot of money on a phone, the 5S works just fine. Or it is a little bit slower given its age, but overall it will work quite well. You might be needing a battery replacement if you're going with an older iPhone as well, because they may have been charged more than 1,000 times. So it is probably something you'll have to look into if you pick up a used iPhone. If you want something new, maybe go for an SE or a 6S, as they're relatively good. But like I said, they did have battery issues with the 6S, so it may be eligible for a free replacement. Otherwise, Apple does replacement batteries for around $50 here in Australia. But with that, I would definitely be avoiding the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus models due to some of the flaws and defects that these models can have. If you're looking to take photos and videos on your iPhone, I recommend an iPhone 6S or later, as they have amazing camera quality. And obviously, if you're looking for the latest generation iPhone, pick up the iPhone 8 or 10. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the iPhone playlist for more videos like this one. Also, make sure you're following my social media, link will be in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.